ergonometry measures from my incisors down the hatch, okay? So it allows me to see down past my glottis the size of the tube of my airway, okay? Uses a mouthpiece, it kind of looks like a snorkel, but it's got a tongue depressor, okay? So, I hold my nose like I'm gonna jump in the pool because I want all the sound to go south, okay? So I'm just gonna breathe normally, one little button. Great. So there's my airway. Okay, so look, here's my very high voltage palate. Incisors at 0. Hard palate. Soft palate down to my oropharyngeal junction, down the airway to my glottis, and on, okay? Make that 3 dimensions, and it's a cone beam. That's why it undulates. That's why it rolls. So that's the side view. Chop my head down the middle, and that's that view. Over my palate, down my throat. Dr. Atul Malhotra and his team at Harvard did some extraordinarily great research with pharyngometry in his pulmonary department. And what they found is that the average airway size is 2 square centimeters at its minimum. Okay? Mine's 1.84. Not bad. Close. And medicine is like horseshoes and hand grenades. Sometimes close is good enough. So, the mean airway for a female is about 2.8. So overall, my airway is kind of okay, not normal. I don't snore when I'm awake. I snort when I laugh. But when I'm awake, I don't snore. But what happens when I go to sleep? You know, when we go to sleep and we relax, the muscles on the outside of the tube relax. But our breathing becomes much more shallow. So what happens if I would take the air out of this tube? If I breathe out and get the air out of this tube. If the tube's healthy, when I breathe out, it still looks like that tube. Unfortunately, if you don't, then that tube's going to follow the air out. So let's see what happens to my airway on exhale, okay? This is real sexy blue in front of That's my airway at night. I do have a severe sleep apnea. I do wear a oral device for it. But that's my nighttime airway. So if this is, can you see it okay, hon? All right, so when I look at the two together, that's my daytime airway, and that's my nighttime airway. And I'm still awake, so do you think, if it's that bad when I'm awake, do you think it's better or worse when I go to sleep? Absolutely. So in my consult, this is what I do, and patients can see it too. You're my patients. You know, if I'm talking about the size of your tube, this is your tube normally. And when we take the air out of it, that's your tube, which means you've gone from breathing through a regular nice garden hose down to trying to breathe at night through a coffee straw. That's not normal. I'm very concerned. We need to get a sleep study done. You can take my monitor home, I'll go set it up. I don't ask if you want it. I assume you're going to take it. Because in medicine, you have to take your dentist hat off and be a medicine. We just talked a little bit ago. I don't ask. You don't ask. I'm not asking you to save your life. Right? So for patients, my goal is you're getting a sleep study. Take mine or I'll call the hospital, whichever you prefer. I don't care. But we're getting one done. Doctors don't ever ask you if you want stuff done. Who's had a mammogram lately? Right? So would you like to have a mammogram? Or how about this? You need to have a mammogram done. Your benefits are getting shot. I know we got some stuff to do, so we can do one boob this year. We don't do that. I don't do that. Say your truth and march forward through it. Let's get these patients taken care of. So, okay, now, let's pretend. So walk this walk with me, okay? I'm going to move forward just a little bit in the protocol. So now, I found this patient has a really collapsible airway. I've issued a home monitor, and it's positive. Okay? So I've issued my home monitor, it's positive. I've talked to my patient. about what the results are. And the patient says, I've had Juvederm, you ain't putting a CPAP on my face. So I want an oral appliance. So great, we have a patient now that is positive for sleep apnea with a collapsible airway, but doesn't want a CPAP. So they prefer the oral device that we make in our office. So where do I start? How do I make it? What size do they need? How do you make them? Where are you going? Well, until we had this technology, we basically just guessed a spot and prayed we didn't kill them till we got them to a spot that actually worked. We would start at an average spot and then slowly advance them with repeated sleep studies until we got them to the spot that we thought that they were good, which means we treated them like they were a trombone. But now with this technology, we're able to try in all different sizes before I make it. So that when I take a bite, it's at the spot that makes the patient safe, not at a spot that I want to start at. I start at the treatment position rather than a starting position to get to the treatment position. Make sense? So let me show you how that works. We use these jigs. They're called airway metrics jigs. They're little oral appliance triads. That's all they are. Different vertical dimensions and different protrusive dimensions. And vertical in oral appliance therapy matters. It's not all about just shoving them out as far as we can. We don't want to protrude a patient if we don't have to protrude a patient, because that causes problems. Protrusion causes joint changes. Protrusion causes bite changes. Protrusion causes sore muscles. Vertical doesn't. I talk all the way long. Doesn't hurt me a bit. We chew, we eat. Vertical doesn't do us anything to us. So if I can make an oral device that's more vertically based and less protrusively based, how much better is that for a patient? So, oh, I'm gonna get you, sister. No sleep in your sleep class. So, these airway metrics jigs, $5 says I'm gonna open this upside down. No, I didn't. Okay, so airway metrics jigs, I have to be more careful. Okay, so they're little oral appliances that go interincisally, and I'm going to put the pharyngometer over the front of it and have them try to blow all the way out again. So I'm going to try to reposition them and have them blow over and over, push all the air out until they can't collapse it anymore. Because oral appliances don't make your airway bigger. Oral appliances keep your airway from collapsing. So I'm going to try in a whole bunch of different positions to see what keeps you from collapsing. And it's just breathing, so it's not hard on a patient, and it's accurate. So here you go. All right, so here's 6 millimeters vertical. My bite's already edge to edge. I'm an orthodontist nightmare. Okay, so edge to edge, I'm just gonna go straight up. 6 millimeters, okay? Okay, I didn't do anything. But if I were using a George gauge, which is the way we've made it before, that's where I would have started. The George gauge is 5 millimeters, this is 6. So 6 don't do anything. So what you no, go big or go home. So I'm going to do 8 millimeters of vertical. So here's 8. Still no protrusive at all. All right, that's a little bit better. A little bit better. Let's see if I can get better. Go bigger, go home. So here's 10 millimeters of vertical. Okay? And don't nut up. 10 millimeters vertical is only 3 millimeters in the back. It doesn't hurt. 10 millimeters in a patient is not uncomfortable. A lot of people think 10 millimeters. No, so that's 10 millimeters. That's 10 millimeters. Okay, so look. 6 millimeters. If I put them together. No, a little change. 8 millimeters over the collapse. How much improvement? Okay, 8 millimeters. I got 100% improvement at 8. Can you see it right here? Okay. 300% improvement at 10. So I'm going with 10. Here's my normal airway. There's my airway at 10 millimeters vertical. Which do you reckon that's going to work? So that's the difference between being able to measure to take our bite rather than guess to take our bite. Now we know where we're going. Yes, ma'am?
Were you able to feel the difference?
100%. You can actually breathe. So let me show you. Okay, I'm going to show you all why I'm single. Okay? Okay. At 6. Here's 8. Here's 8. Here's 10. I do wear neural clients at all times now. When I'm sleeping, if anybody has any patients with good, credit scores.